So I am acutely aware I'm going to be told off for not using the hand thing to hold the phone with and for not using the microphone. There are people who tell me there are things that I need to do. But, you know, quad right, I do this in the moment or not at all. I will try, boys. I will try. Anyway, hi, Erin Zen Warrior here. Don't forget to say hello, put your comments down below, subscribe if there's somewhere you can subscribe to something, follow me, all that stuff. Man, you know, so I work as a holistic mentor, and I started with the body and biomechanics and putting everything back together on a physical level. And then I realized, well, on a physical level, I'm going to have to go into the gut, into the health. And then, of course, now I'm 45, it's and go into the hormones and go into all of the things, right? And then it was started getting really good results as I got more chronically diseased clients, which sort of naturally started happening as I realized I could help them and I could get them into remission for things, help them get into remission for things and stuff like that. And then I noticed that some of them slipped back and forward a little bit. And I was like, well, why? And then, you know, COVID hit and I was like, my God, of all the years that I have refused to be the meditation teacher, I am not the guru, you know. And then one day just went, if I don't teach people who have no other access to meditation education how to meditate, if I don't sit with them, when are they going to do it? When are they going to learn? And it's funny, actually, I got questioned about this the other night by someone who's a meditator or a meditative practitioner. And I said, oh, yeah, I teach meditation. She kind of gave me a funny look. It's like, teach meditation. Can't people just do that naturally? I'm like, well, it's your birthright to have a meditative quality. That's true. But people have been so trained out of it that the truth is that you get a bit dumb, you know. And I think the best thing for us all to admit is that at some point our conditioning makes us all kind of a bit stupid, depending on where our conditioning is still blinding us to ourselves, right? And that's just a meditative awareness. I do not know everything, and I will always be discovering. Even enlightened masters are always discovering. So this topic comes to me as part of all of that, and I've taken the long way around because it's kind of all relevant. Your awareness around your consciousness also relates to your awareness around your body. And many of you have been gaslit into believing that Panadol's not a big deal, that antibiotics are not a big deal. And we all know that that's not true. Right? We all learned that the overprescription of antibiotics has created huge issues to the point where they don't give them out anymore just to get rid of you in the doctor's office. But that's what they used to do. You know, lonely grandma used to come in just to see the doctor every week with her hypochondria to get given, you know, some more antibiotics until they stopped working on her. But antihistamines, you know, you have an imbalance in your system and your system is trying to deal with that by sending up a whole lot of inflammation to help balance itself, and you're throwing antihistamines at it. I hope my friend will excuse me for using an example of her situation recently. She got stung by a bee and took an antihistamine because she didn't want to deal with the pain of her hand swelling up. And I'm like, well, you do realize that your body is throwing up inflammation to protect you from the poison, to localize it and neutralize it and do all the things it needs to do so that that venom doesn't basically pierce into your cellular structure as much as it will if you put the antihistamines in there and take down the inflammation. And then people are like, well, what about, you know, an allergic reaction like hay fever? I'm like, well, I would say that hay fever is a dirty DAO gene and that can be hacked that way. And ultimately, there are other things you should be trying to do before you're throwing something at your body that's essentially like a Band-Aid. You're not fixing the problem. You're not going to the source of the problem. Ultimately, what you're doing is you're shoving a Band-Aid over it. Now, the problem with Band-Aids is not only are they problematic in the sense that they don't cure the source of the issue, right? They just stop symptoms. They stop symptoms that are ultimately being thrown out to try to protect your system for some reason, which you have not yet determined. And then also, they have side effects. And it's funny how we use this word side effect, because I'm sure some of you have seen it written where they go, they're not side effects, they're effects. right? They're just effects we couldn't package nicely. So we call them side effects, like, oh, this may happen, but we couldn't think of any good reason for it to be happening that was beneficial to you. So we call it a side effect. It's like, no, it's just another effect of the drug that may or may not happen. Just like some of the effects that the drug is meant to have may or may not work on you either, depending on your construct and where your body's at and what's going on with it. Antibiotics, antihistamines, anti-inflammatories. This is a huge one. I'm a movement coach. I work in a gym, a few hours a week. I step on bodies to resurrect their posture and work on injuries and all that sort of stuff. People taking anti-inflammatories when they get injuries. Are you mad? Right? There's actually a reason that your body flares up. It's trying to protect, you sprain an ankle, it's trying to protect the joint. This is why we discuss now whether icing immediately is a good idea. And we're all like, well, if you ice, you're going to have more mobility to walk around. It's like, in the first 4 days, you're talking about repair. You're talking about repair tissues going down and that inflammation trying to stabilize and immobilize the joint deliberately. This is a deliberate part of your repair process. And you're going, yeah, we'll just get in the way of that. We'll just throw some anti-inflammatories at it so that it, let's use some logic here, right? Let's just think about it. My body does nothing against itself. Nothing. Cancer is not against you. It is giving you a signal. You need to work out the source of the problem. This is where all the holistic work goes. And even if you use, with conscious awareness and deliberate choice, even if you use some of the medical, Western medical reality to help you with your problem, use it with education first. Understand what is going to happen when you take the thing, even if it's chemo, etc., etc. Feel into your intuitive body. That's why we use human design. Sometimes the right thing for you is not what I would recommend, but it's still the right thing for your body. Your intuition tells you when it's not in fear, because fight or flight scrambles your whole system, right? It's only going to protect you. It's only going to make in the moment panic decisions. For a splenic person, that may be more appropriate. But ultimately, we have to start considering, you're going to throw painkillers at a headache. Have you thought about drinking some water, taking some vitamin C, checking in to see what's going on with your body? Have you been sitting at a desk for 3 hours and your posture has collapsed because you're hypermobile? Are you not hypermobile, but you did chest this morning and you're just tightening up across here and you just need to stretch, tap in, get a bit of massage here, get up, go for a walk, move around? Start asking the question, why? Why is my body doing this? And do I have a real answer? And people go, yes, this outside force got me. The bee stung me. The pollen got to me. The dehydration in here is a problem. So now I take the medication I've been taught and programmed to take. I'll take a painkiller. Well, dehydration, the first thing they should have taught you was drink water. The second thing they should have taught you was drink quality water that you can actually hydrate from. Otherwise, that's not going to work. The third thing is, you suffer from headaches and migraines. Maybe you should reconsider a few things that are highly inflammatory, including coffee, right? It's including let's not dehydrate the system anymore and let's consider whether it's got enough of everything first before I start throwing things at it that are going to ultimately strip things out of it. Because you realize that coffee strips vitamins out of your system, right? Vitamins and nutrients that actually could help your system function. That may be the very reason you're getting a migraine. Now, migraines are to do with toxicity as well. So that's an interesting one to consider. And that could be the environmental, totally. And maybe the question becomes, should I work in this office? Is this the right place for me? When we look at human design, there are some other things that come into it for very sensitive body types where it's yeah, you may have to change your environment. That may be a real thing. But I really just kind of jumped on because I think I forget, because it's not something I do. I'll try to die before I take antibiotics, right? They'll be the last thing I take. They'll be the emergency. And the last time I took antibiotics was 13, 14 years ago, right? And before that, 13, 14 years before that. And it was because I was a little bit worried that I might end up in hospital. And it caused me a whole lot of other problems, caused me a whole lot of other side effects. My family doesn't do well on penicillin, antibiotics, etc. My mother nor my father. And yet I've not been told that I'm allergic. So think again. And if you're just looking to be less uncomfortable, fuck, man, grow a pair. Like, toughen up. And as I said to my poor friend and client, I said, I think you can toughen up a bit. It's just a bee sting. I was stung by a whole hive of wasps when I was 8 years old, so I probably don't have a lot of sympathy for that one. And, I've been kicked in the head in the last 5 years and, punched in the face fighting and stuff like that. My pain tolerance is pretty resilient. And, even training, I'll take anti-inflammatories that are natural, like curcumin, from turmeric and black seed oil. But I had my teeth deep cleaned. That's nasty, right? Where they pull the gums back and stuff like that. I didn't have anywhere near the amount of anesthetic they wanted to give me because I'm really sensitive. It was like, I really don't give me like a child's dose. And I was still numb for like 8 hours. Also, I didn't take Panadol, which they had recommended if I wanted to eat. I got a really high dose version of curcumin. I went to the organic store and they told me to do this. What do you reckon? And they went, take these every 2 hours. A double dose every 2 hours. And you can take more if you really want to. Did it get rid of the pain completely? No, but I would say I had like a dullness of discomfort as opposed to real pain, and I was perfectly able to eat. So toughen up a bit and ask a few questions. And then if you really feel you need something, that's up to you. But be a little less trigger happy than they have encouraged you to be with some of this crap. And, I'll talk about this when it comes to hormone health and stuff like that as well. Ask a few questions first. As I've moved into being 45 years old and you start dealing with hormones shifting around and stuff like that, I'm not going to take HRT. I understand why some people do, but there's no way. But there are so many things that you can play with before you take HRT, so ask a few more questions. Take your symptoms, list them down, have a little look. And same for people with, acne on their face. And you've got teenagers with severe acne. You're looking at a hormonal imbalance. You're looking at liver problems. You're looking at a lot of things. There are better ways to treat this than, for women, for girls, they give them the pill. Do a lot of reading on the frickin' pill, right? Like, it actually makes you a bit dumber as a woman. How hilarious is that? It kind of makes you socially a little bit more stupid. You miss cues. You miss certain things. It makes you smell men differently. It changes your whole olfactory system. And it is also creating a system whereby your body no longer has its natural detox process of a period. What it has is a bleeding window, but it's not a proper period. These are things worth understanding before you give this shit to your teenage kids, And it doesn't mean don't give it to them. It means move with some awareness that we have been sold a bunch of stuff as if it's not that bad. And then as a result, we have given away our authority on it and just gone, oh, that'll be fine, without even thinking or feeling into it or taking it into our intuition and going, what do I feel? What do I feel is going to help me here? And look, if it's the pill, because you feel that's the best option for you, if it's artificial forms of estradiol and stuff like that. Look, the research is great on this stuff. If you do all the research on all chaste tree and, phytoestrogenic formats and DHEA precursors and all this stuff, if you do that research, you get good advice from holistic and medical practitioners, and then you balance it out yourself, that's a whole different reality. I would also say this too, when it comes to balancing hormones, if you do not have a meditation practice, you are missing one of the oldest tricks in the book, and that is learning how to self-regulate your stress. And your stress hormones also snatch from DHEA. And this is just a massive game you're playing here. And if you're not practicing meditation, then you are missing out. You are absolutely missing out on something that's so valuable, and all you have to do is start with 5 minutes a day. And if all you ever do is 5 minutes a day, you just gain 5 minutes of exercising a muscle that can significantly change the way you hormonally shift through this world and through perimenopause or anything else you're struggling with, whether you're a man or a woman. Have a great day. Have a great life. Enjoy, comment, like, do all the things. And I will see you soon. Love to hear your stories. Remember, if you do not want to share your stories publicly, a lot of people do reach out behind the scenes, and I read every single one. I really appreciate you sharing your stories with me. I find it really educational to get other people's subjective viewpoints, even if they don't align with mine. Have a great day. Erin Zen Warrior signing out.